Hey everyone, welcome to Founders 365 with me, Steven Haggerty. Today I'm joined by Perng, founder of Salmo. How are you today, Amber?
Good, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for jumping on with me today. And I'm interested to hear about your business, about you, because I think you're one of the first founders I've had on that has created a business from the situation that it was created from, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which is a good thing. So I guess the first thing to do is for you just to give a little bit of an overview of what Salmo is, and we can go from there.
Okay. So Salmo is an online service that is designed by UK immigrants for UK immigrants to help them process, not even process, like prepare and organize their visa applications in an easier and a faster way, so that there's a less chance of you needing to spend a lot of money on a lawyer.
Hmm.
And
And
yeah,
for you, obviously, this was so in the description we kind of go into the story of it, but this was born out of a frustration from you after doing exactly that. You spent a load of
yeah,
money on a lawyer.
yeah.
So talk to me about the story about that, and then what I would love to know is that moment in time where you thought, okay, I'm
Mhm.
gonna help people do, you know, go through what I've done in an easier in a manner.
Okay. So it was around it was around this time last year, around October time. Uh, I was trying to apply for the Tier One entrepreneur visa, and it was pain in the ass because it was an official entrepreneur visa. You had to provide like business plan and all the other financial evidence and
Hmm.
everything. And during that time, my co-founder left my company, so I had to sort out all the company stuff, and I had to rewrite a business plan. And also it was the time was running short, and I had to prove I have certain amount of money in my bank account, and it was less than the required date. So I was like, fuck, like I'm not gonna get this shit. And I was like, okay, might as well just get a lawyer. Maybe they will figure.
Hmm.
There'll be
Which is, I
miracles.
think, which a lot of people would have that thought as well.
Yes, at the time of desperation, lawyers seems to be the shining star.
Yeah.
So, the cost of that shining star was £3,600,
Wow.
and so yeah, it's a lot
And
of
is it, and
that.
I'm guessing £3,600, but no, obviously no guarantees, no promises
Yeah,
or anything like that.
no, no. So they no they guarantee they do the best, and that's
You
yeah,
would hope that, wouldn't you? I mean,
yeah.
any just everyone in life should just have that guarantee as a mantra. Full stop. Just do your
I do
best.
my
That's all,
best.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's all you ask for.
exactly, exactly.
So
Yeah.
so you pay out this fairly substantial amount of money
Hmm.
with no guarantee. Plus your co-founders just left. You must have been just 101 miles an hour in your head. Sort of.
Oh yeah.
How did you focus on doing the right thing
It
at
was
that time?
at the time it was literally just like it was less than 2 weeks away from my visa expiry date, and I had so many things in front of me that I need to do. So it was just it got to the point that there was no time to cry, but to keep going,
Hmm.
because even crying was a waste of time. And and that's what I learned when I was studying design, back in school. Like it gets to a point like that, and so it's kind of moved me back to the end of the year, end of the studying kind of mode. Just like hustle forward and do as much as you can.
Yeah.
And yeah, in the end, I think it was like I think it was like just shortly after I submitted my application, and I just felt like, or maybe a few days before that, I was just in such a like I was just so defeated
Mm.
by everything. I remember lying on my carpet in my living room and just like crying, really like really quietly, and just looking at my ceiling. And I was just thinking like, why is this so difficult? Why does
Yeah.
this have to be so difficult? And I was thinking about all the stuff that the lawyer have done, and it's pretty much the same as I would do. Like literally going on online, check out the GovWeb UK's official guideline, and and find all the things, and that's it. Everyone could do that if you have the time to read that. So it kind of went from defeaters to being angry about it, and just like, why is this happening?
Angry about the process in general, or
the system,
or the lawyer sort of fee that you had to pay, and you look at that and you go, I could have actually done that myself, which you did do yourself.
Yeah, I think both. Like, I was angry at the system for making it especially difficult for people to apply, and also angry at the fact that you have to pay so much money just to go through these game rules. And then most of all, I was angry about the fact that no one has ever came up with a solution to sort these out.
Yeah.
So I just remember having like a really angry voice in me, just saying that I gotta do a system that would do the system.
You're the person that is gonna rise up from the ashes and create this system that makes people's lives easier, which is so nice. So you had the brainwave, or that moment, or the angry voice telling you to do this, I guess. How did you get started? What was like the first thing in your list of things to do to make, I guess, Salmo go from that idea or that sort of frustration idea to a finalized bit of kit that people can help sort of go through that process?
I think the first 2 weeks when the angry voice kicked in, I
feel like we need a name for the angry voice.
Let's just say Bernie.
Yeah.
So when Bernie first kicked in, I spent probably 2 weeks really like molding down the idea just to make sure that is feasible. Yeah. And I was trying out different ways of of approaching, not even approaching, but I think at the time I was trying to simplify it down to its core so that it cannot be any more complicated. Mm-hmm. I feel that anything, if it can't be described in one sentence, then it's
overcomplicated.
Yeah. So I was trying to do that, and then see how it can derive from towards to, and then that's when I thought about thinking about who do I want to help, what kind of ways I want to help, what can I provide, and then I thought about my strength, which is design, and how can I use design to make things different than now, and what do I not have, and that is like developing skills and extra hands to make design, and copywriting, all of that. So that's when I started thinking about that. Okay, who can I get into my team? And then around the time I was fortunate enough to be to have two friends, two friends who are a lovely couple. They come as developer and designer. So I was just like,
I'm not sure that's a good thing in terms of a team or bad thing, but hey, it worked.
I think it worked in the end because at the time I wanted to not only tackle the immigration system issue, but also look around the urban myth around immigrants. How immigrants are here to take jobs. Sure. We're here to go, take welfare benefits, all of that. Even though it's
that typical headline that we see so often that is so rarely the case anyway.
Yeah, and in any case, it's impossible because on our visa we specifically said that we can't take public funds. Yeah. And I wanted to kind of tackle that as well. So the reason why I deliberately chose them to be my team members was because both Emma and Charlotte, they're English people, and I wanted to be able to have English people look at immigration from their perspective and write things through an English point of view or English way of saying, to potentially engage the bigger community into Salmo in the future. And
I'm curious to know how you combat that education side in terms of getting people to use Salmo rather than doing exactly what you did, in the sense of, going on the government website, going through the process yourself, typically getting a bit frustrated, then looking for a way out of that frustration, which, like you said earlier, is always going to be, for now, like the lawyer who has that shiny object and says, "Hey, I can fix this," right? And for years and years and years, people have done that system. So how do you place yourself in front of the client, the customers, the client, in terms of that education side, and I guess earn their trust to help them through that process?
I think for me, if this whole process is like a streamline, then it kind of needs to be tackled at the very beginning, which is when they're still in the education itself.
Yep.
And therefore, working with universities, working with schools will be a huge priority for Salmo in 2021, because so many people, so many students haven't thought about, the chances of staying until the very end, and sometimes that's a bit too late.
Because
Whereas,
then they're just rushing, I guess, and that's when they go into that process of not panic, well, maybe panic, but that's when they go into that process of, oh, let's find a shiny object that can help me.
exactly, yes. And I actually got into a conversation with the course lead from business Cambridge Church Business School, and she was saying that it is quite often that their MBA students will try to continue to stay in the UK after MBA, but then having lots of difficulties to find information. And Cambridge themselves, they don't have any professional legal advice to provide them, and therefore they will often have to find lawyers instead. And that's why Cambridge, the lady from Cambridge Church, approached me, because she wanted to see if there's any chance of finding potential collaborations to.
Fantastic.
Yes, and that would be, and for us is also great, fantastic too, because that would be a great chance to really interact with a university body, and really see how our target customers approach Salmo, test out Salmo and see how they feel about Salmo, and that is also exactly how we want Salmo to kind of involve in our customers' lives, and to know it exists before the panic happens.
Yeah, so before they know they need it, but they're not in that stage of panic mode of needing it today or needing it tomorrow. You're getting them into that education side, which is often the hardest part of any new business or any new service. It's that education and awareness side for people. What's been the biggest challenge for you personally then, as a founder, growing this business? I know you launched last year, so growing the business obviously last year, but through this year as well, and being in the place you're at now.
I would say the biggest challenge was definitely the financial side of it. Getting funding, finding investors. It was, I think, a few weeks ago, I was lucky enough to be one of the presenters for Barclays Legal Labs demo day presentation, and after that, I had quite a few, really great feedback and responses, even a few approached by investors. But then quickly after that, I realized that what I can provide for my pitch deck, for example, was still a bit too naive to an extent. And I think one of the investors, they gave me a feedback to say that my financial forecast seemed really naive, and that it's a bit unrealistic, or that I don't, or that judging by one point A, I can tell that I'm not sure about point B, even though, I mean, there are definitely areas of arguments for that. But overall, I think I was quite defeated because I wasn't. I think I'm still struggling to see how I can prove myself in the most like the most obvious way,
Yeah.
the most direct way, and especially for a market that hasn't that is still so not yet innovated.
Yeah, so
So
it's so set in its ways, isn't it?
mhm,
It already has a pre-written format of how to do something, and you're
exactly.
coming into it going, "Hey, actually, I can do things a bit differently. I can do things a bit easier," which is, I guess, frustration for you perhaps because you've been through the process yourself. You've gone through the frustration.
Mhm,
You've come up with this solution that is making people's lives easier at the end of the day, but the gap is that education knowledge gap for the end user or end customer
mhm.
is not quite there. How do you think the best way to overcome that is? It through, like you said earlier, going in schools, getting school university partnerships, and building from there?
Mm, yeah, I would say not only you know product product feedback or service feedback, but also really basic visual education
Yeah.
resources such as videos. And I made a video on this on explaining what's going on with immigration system,
Hmm.
etc., through gummy bears, and it was very easy to understand because they're gummy bears,
Yeah.
and and that got a lot of attention. And I feel that it will be a good way to help to insert some knowledge into people's mind without being known that they're being educated. I
Yeah.
think that's the main point because some people they feel a bit like they feel a bit not offended, but then they'll feel a bit uncomfortable
Yeah.
when the word immigration and immigrants come along.
Mm.
It's a bit sensitive,
You don't want to
and
make, and I guess you don't want to make that education a chore or
yeah,
something that they feel like you have to sit down and listen to this thing for an hour or something.
hmm
Making it bite sized, making it I guess could even call it fun, because it's such, like we said before, it's such a routine like formatted system at the moment.
hmm
You coming in to disrupt that, you have to almost have such an extreme education side in terms of the snappy fun side, bite-sized
hmm
points to make people go, oh, okay, now I get it, or now I understand it.
exactly, yeah, and that's why I really want to try out some guerrilla marketing for Salmo.
Yeah.
And I feel like having a very innovative marketing ways of involving the audience into that would be a great way to
Very
sell
cool.
Salmo. And like when I was learning like business studies back in high school, like I was always really interested in guerrilla marketing,
Mm,
mostly but because of the creative side of it.
yeah.
And that definitely resonates with my skills a lot, and it also resonates a lot with the core value of Salmo, like being fun and trying to let serious things a bit loose.
Exactly. And I think, I think like what you said earlier is perfect. I think we live in a world where people overcomplicate the most simple things.
Mhm,
And through that overcomplication, they make it unfun. They make it too serious, and most of life doesn't have to be serious. Most of life can be a lot more fun if people want it to be. I'm curious to know what excites you most about Salmo. What part of the business do you always get excited about, or you look forward to happening in a certain process?
the end goal. So when I first when Bernie kicked in initially, and I was thinking of the grand plan. The grand plan was always to build Salmo to the biggest as it can,
Hmm.
and approach the Home Office to propose a new model of an immigration system that will work better.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely the excitement of as a project, like to really make a big change, to really become a force from bottom up, to make make changes, be like we have a voice, like we have thoughts, and
Yeah.
we have ideas to make the system better without you thinking that we're trying to take over a country.
Yeah, exactly. And you meant, if we go back in time a little bit, you obviously in that 3 day frustration, or that frustration before you had a co-founder that left. For Salmo, what made you go at it alone? What made you go, you know what, I'm going to do this, rather than, you obviously built the team around you with the mix of immigration and British people. But what made you go, right, this is me, rather than going down that route of finding a new co-founder that you can bring on board?
Mm, I think it was a gut feeling that when
To do it alone, to go on to be a solo founder.
yeah, because on one hand, I was able to provide the financial funding
Hmm.
to fund Salmo, and at the time, nobody knew coronavirus was down the corner. So you know, like Salmo was expected to finish in June this year.
Yeah.
So
I
so
mean, if anyone knew about what was going to happen around the corner, it would have been they would have made a lot of money. Let's put it
oh
that
yeah,
way. You
yeah,
know, uh,
definitely.
and
So yeah.
what's been the struggle as a solo founder then? Because a lot of people go through that decision when they come up with an idea of bringing on maybe a technical founder, or a creative founder, or whatever the founder's other role is. And I spoke to so many people, obviously this year and previous years, where they go through that moment of going, do I need anyone, or do I want anyone? And then the decision to go solo. But then obviously this comes with a lot more, I guess, not lack of support, but there's that support missing because you don't have the co-founder soundboard. How have you dealt with that? How have you built up your environment around you to make you the best possible founder you can be?
I think um, the struggle is real. It's definitely relatable, and not having someone to bounce back your thoughts is
Mm.
definitely very very tricky, and you can often get stuck in the same box. I've struggled a bit in the first lockdown. I have to admit a lot, and managed to get out by kind of all the rethinking of kind of coming up with a list of all the people that have helped me a lot when throughout my difficult times before, and then approach them one by one, telling them about Salmo, asking them for feedback, and then kind of have a new voice to bounce back and
Yeah.
forth. And I was given a lot of help by some friends for not only the design, but which ultimately changed the entire layout, helped me change the entire layout for the better. And but also like business model ideas and approaches, and also ultimately, like I kind of sat down and talked to Team Salmo, and then we're like, we need someone that can really be the voice of the legal side of it,
Hmm.
because none of us we do legal stuff, and it's not something that you can say that I've read 100 books and I'll be a lawyer now. So
Was that decision tricky though? Because this was almost born out of the legal frustration of
mm,
having a hiring a lawyer. So for you to then go through that process of bringing on that legal advice for Samo as a whole, was that
it
hard, or
was
was it easy?
I wouldn't say it was about easy or hard, because oh, Salmon was quite lucky by the timing of everything. So in some ways, it wasn't like oh, it's a difficult thing to decide or anything. It's almost like now's the time. The time has come.
Yeah.
I should grasp it. And the and funny enough, the lawyer that I hired last year with my money was the one that introduced me to the lawyer that's working with us now.
The
And
world works in mysterious ways.
exactly, and it turned out perfect, because not only Daria, a Samuel lawyer, she's the highest level immigration lawyer, but she's also an immigrant herself, and everything just kind of worked really well,
Yeah.
and that's why I was just like, please, just do you want to join? And just like, yeah,
just
okay,
just just please come. You
just
can really
come,
help. But that's so
yeah.
great that, again, you know, she's high up, she's experienced, but she gets the story, and I think that's
Exactly.
probably the most important thing. It's not even really about the easy solution. It's not about making
Hmm.
things simpler. It's just about understanding that frustration, I guess,
Hmm.
that you went through
Yeah.
and so many other people go through, and
Yes.
just helping make that frustration less so in a really simple
Exactly.
manner,
Yeah.
which is so great to see. What's next for you guys then? Because you mentioned that, you know, you wanna be up there in the House of Commons or House of Lords or wherever they change the law, and implementing something for based on Salmo, which would be amazing to see. But
Hmm.
what's the road to get there? What's the roadmap over the next year or so?
The roadmap. First, I mean, next year will be quite simple. It'll just be, you know, expand expand our folder service to the most complete. I've separated our stages of growth into 3 stages for next
Hmm.
year for like this 2 years, and we've only completed stage one because we're out of money.
Yeah.
So the for next year, the priority is to get some money, and
Get
then
If
finish the
you're an
next two
investor
stages.
listening, get in touch with Amber then, basically.
Yeah, that is that simple. Just
Yeah.
get some money, and then so we can get the work done,
Yeah.
and then we can really shine and really do some creative things. I want to make sure that we can grasp the timing so that we're still ahead enough to make changes,
Yeah.
but also create surprise and excitement that isn't that people are not not expecting it.
Exactly. And you want to keep ahead of that innovation, and be the pioneer, I guess.
Hmm.
You mentioned, you know, getting money, and it is that simple. But from a founder's point of view, I'm guessing there's a type of investor you want to bring on board, because the story is so important. Sure, investors can sort of throw money at you and enable change, but do you want to bring on investors that perhaps have gone through the process themselves or have experienced that in some manner, so that again they buy into the story and they completely understand it?
Yeah, I think investor who is an immigrant themselves or have an immigrant partner would be good because um, having an immigrant partner means that you witness your partner
Mm,
going through all that, and it's very difficult.
yeah.
And not only that, but also the urge to want actual social changes would be great, and um, be willing to really devote your time into making change, no, into support
Yeah.
and bring advice. These are the kind of aspects that I would like to that I'm looking for as an investor, and yeah, like be a nice person, like a nice,
Just be
generally
a
nice,
nice person.
yeah, just being a nice
Amber, you don't
person.
ask for much. Just be a nice person. Just be a nice person. But listen, I hope that someone who's listening, or an investor who's listening, can put you in touch with someone, or perhaps speak to you directly, because what you're looking to achieve is just so important for so many people. And if you can help that frustration be removed, or make it easier for someone, then, you know, go for it, go big, go hard. And I do always agree that innovation, especially when we start talking about like laws, and the way process has been done for the same way for so long,
Yeah.
then innovation is just always welcome. So I guess my final question, Amber, is how can people get in touch with you? How can people sort of check out Salmo? What's the easiest way for them to do that?
The easiest way would be to go on Instagram, and I mean, I don't have a pen and paper, but if you go on your phone and type in Salmo Visa, then you'll find us, and we'll be posting some stuff in the next few days, and feel free to DM us, get in touch. Yeah,
Website?
website is www.salmo.uk.
Perfect.
Nice and simple.
Nice and simple. This is again a great mantra. Amber, thank you so much for coming on Founders 365. I'm really looking forward to just seeing how you guys evolve, and I can't wait for that moment where I open sort of a news article and I see that your business has changed something to help people to make that frustration less. So I do wish you the best of luck with that.
Thank
And
you.
You sound like you have the right people on board, which is so key.
If there's any events coming up, you're definitely invited, Steven.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you, Amber, and thank you everyone else for listening and watching. This has been Founders 365.